I was asked if I have any content in regards to this subject here, which I'm going to talk about. And the conversation came up this morning with some folk, so I'll go into some details. Try to keep it short and simple, concise, but put across what needs to be put across. Okay, so this individual sharing a crude picture of a half-naked woman online, which is pretty common degeneracy in the world that's rotting around us. Fair enough. So I just jumped on there because somebody I know shared this image, which is just degenerate. She's, clearly a whore, I thought. And they shared it jokingly promoting this type of anti-white behaviour, this anti-God behaviour, this demonic filth, essentially. And most of the world will likely disagree and say, what are you talking about? That's just a woman looking pretty, taking a selfie. No, that's demonic filth. She's a whore from Babylon, okay? And she will rot in eternal damnation. And anyone who accepts it, and again, the vast majority of the world will probably accept it as just a normal thing. You walk through the streets of any town, you go to a newsagent's, there's pictures of, there's porn freaking magazines and whatnot, and all this degeneracy and filth is just treated as normal. So maybe today in this broken, crazy world, the vast majority of people would accept this type of thing, but if you actually have a working brain still, you can see it for what it is. So yes, most people will likely disagree with me, but guess what? Most people, you're wrong, okay? Because most of the world is wrong these days. So I just said, you shouldn't encourage this type of anti-white degeneracy. She's a genetic mutant destined for extinction. Men who flock to such women will destroy their own bloodlines forever. Pretty simple stuff. At the moment in the world, you could say roughly, and there's been enough scientific studies to prove it, roughly 80%, so say 8 out of 10 women, and close to the same for men, are what's considered genetic mutants, which means in 1,000 years, they will have no descendants, no offspring, they will go extinct. Their genetic lines will go extinct because they're genetic mutants. So the vast majority of humans on the planet right now aren't going to have descendants in the future. Only about 10% of the people alive right now are going to actually continue into the future. And everyone else is going to go extinct because they're domesticated, weak genetic mutants. And we have the scientific studies, it's called a bottleneck event, okay? Evolutionary bottleneck. So a woman like this who posts images of herself half naked online, she's a part of the mutants who are going to go extinct. That type of human isn't going to exist in the future, okay? It's degenerate, it's filth, it's rot, and it's just rotted from its core, all right? Rotten at its core. It's like an apple filled with maggots and filth, okay? You can take a bite out of it if you want, but it's not going to sustain you and you're going to starve to death. And it's only us who can see which apples are filled with maggots and which apples are healthy, all right, who are actually going to survive into the future. And that's why most people won't, because again, most people are going to disagree with me and they think it's perfectly fine for a woman to post pictures of herself half naked online. And that I'm some type of, religious, I'm too pious, I'm too, it's just a woman half naked, let her have fun, blah, whatever, Or it's her body, her choice, yada, yada, yada. Great. Everyone's allowed to disagree, everyone's allowed to have their own opinions. But it's, again, remember, most people in the world today are wrong. So, it doesn't matter if you agree or disagree. So, fundamentally, my position here is, okay, and it's a position of factuality that can be tested and verified. If there is this type of behavior present and you are simply neutral, okay, so you just ignore it, then you're promoting it, you're encouraging it, you're responsible for the filth. You're perpetuating degeneracy, filth, and decay. Okay? Suffering of innocent people, the molestation of children, all types of evils of this world, because you just turn a blind eye. If you try to defend it and you say, oh no, it's okay, women can post themselves half naked online, it's not degenerate, it's not filth, it's not a part of the general rot of civilization, and so it's not a perpetuation of those same things that will lead to, like I said, children being molested and raped by pedophiles, because it's all the same rot, it's all filth, it's all degeneracy, it all goes in the same bag and it all supports each other. Okay, so if you support the degeneracy of women getting topless and taking selfies half naked, well, guess what? That's a foot in the door of degeneracy. You support pedophilia, child rape, all types of things, because it's all the same filth. Degeneracy is degeneracy, and it all walks together. So if you allow one little bit of degeneracy here and say, oh no, this kind's okay, you're actually saying okay to all forms of degeneracy and filth and evil. So if you accept porno magazines, you accept children being raped by pedophiles, you just haven't thought it through yet. Okay? So I addressed this here and I said, okay, she's a genetic mutant, blah, blah. And then some people are trying to come in. And one of the classic refutations and supports for this type of degeneracy will be something like this individual, and they said it in a pretty witty, kind of intelligent way, so we'll give them that. It's almost 2023, it's socially acceptable to come out of the closet. So the obvious and simple response to this is accusations of being gay were taught to you by the women who trained you to be a good little domesticated beta cuck. You only prove me further correct. So if you've got a masculine man like myself, an alpha male, who's saying, no, these women are degenerate, they're filth, you should not be supporting them, and then you get people coming out and saying, oh, what, are you gay? You just don't like pretty women, you gay or something. That's the response of a trained weak beta cuck who is, okay, they have no manhood whatsoever, they ain't men, they're actually less than women, because they let women wear the pants and control them, when a man is supposed to be in charge. Otherwise, again, it's degenerate and it's perversion, and you've opened the door to things like pedophilia. Okay, you either keep things sacred, or you open the door to perversion and degeneracy, and it all comes along with it. All degeneracy walks with degeneracy. Okay, so if you won't uphold 100% sacredness and call out everything that's degenerate and filth and perverted, then you are actually walking with the rapists, the child molesters and pedophiles, and you are accepting and promoting and bolstering them. Because you won't stand with what's sacred, therefore you stand with what is perverted and demented and sick. Pretty simple. It's either one or the other. Pretty freaking straightforward, pretty simple, okay? So yeah, if you're calling out the perversions of modern day pornography, etc., and somebody's like, oh, what, are you gay? You can just point that out as a trained response to someone calling out that very type of degeneracy. Okay? It's a type of collective shame, because again, I said, most people are going to disagree, because most people are perverts and most people are degenerates. So they're going to defend themselves, and they're going to try to defend themselves in that way by just putting across slander and defamations and categorizations which dehumanize, etc., or take away the legitimacy of a point being put across by an individual in this manner. So that's why they'll respond in such a way. The individual that I know that commented on this disgusting post joked about how it's quote unquote thick. Okay? So if you're going to joke, again, let's just break it down, put in simple terms, put a conclusion forward, and we'll finish up. If you think it's okay to accept pornographic nonsense, okay, women half naked, taking pictures of themselves and whatnot, putting it all over the internet for so they have all this attention, and it's like a form of confirmation, builds up their ego, etc. If you accept and support this, okay, or even just using certain terminology like a degenerate woman like that, and you use these terms like she's thick, or like baby mama, and all these things like this, degenerate modern day terminology, which isn't just plain English, right? These jargon and slang and whatnot. Well, that's the jargon and slang of what? That's right, degeneracy and filth and perversion. So if you go around calling women thick, you've opened your door, put your foot in the door for pedophiles to come through and rape children. Because you've accepted degeneracy and perversion. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. If you don't condemn it, you actually promote it, you support it, you encourage it. Alright, so even if you're just neutral and you're not actually openly supporting it, you support it, okay, via the omission of your opposition. Okay, so you support it via the omission of your opposition, which means if you don't directly oppose it, even if you just say you're neutral, that means you're encouraging and allowing and promoting it, because you ain't putting it out. It's like a fire, and if you don't put it out and you just sit there and let it burn down the fucking neighbor's house, then you are partly responsible for your neighbor's house being burnt down because you didn't put out the fire. Pretty simple stuff. So in the same way, if you won't call out degeneracy and perversion in the world when you see it, you are responsible for it, and you walk with all perversion. And therefore, if you just ignore one little bit of perversion or degeneracy here, you're actually responsible for children being raped by pedophiles, because all degenerates walk together, all perversion walks together. And if you don't call it out a little bit here, it's just going to bolster and you promote it. So simple. That's how simple it is. Which side of the fence are you on? Do you want to be responsible yourself personally for children being raped by pedophiles? Or do you want to, in all moments of your life, call out things that are perverted and degenerate and uphold what is sacred and good? That's your choice. And I'll leave it to you. Take it easy, folks.